Planet Magazine.
Also known as Wednesday 13.
Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
All comfortable, y'all. Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
You're listening to Brutal Planet.
Hey, what's up, everybody? CJ Pierce here from Toronto Pool, and you're listening to Brutal Planet Media right here. Get yourself.
Hey, I'm Steve from Within the Ruins, and this is Brutal Planet.
Greetings, Brutal Planet. We are live with Mr. Tim King. Looks like we lost your video there, sir.
Did we lose him? Uh-oh.
Well, we'll figure this out. But we got Tim King from the band SOiL, original member. He's probably logging back on. So I was listening. This is like one of the first things I wanted to ask him about, but they re-recorded. Here he comes. There he is. Hey, Tim.
That's what happens when you set an alarm to remind you of the show and it goes off and it just flicks you off.
You're all good, man. We're without a net, so we don't mind. It's all part of the game.
Perfect.
Thank you for taking the time today.
Yeah, absolutely. You're my 8th interview, so my brain's a bit like ice cream right now. So
oh man.
I'll do my best to entertain you the most I can.
Are we at least your last duty of the day?
No, I got 3 more.
Oh wow.
We're trying to cram everything we can in before we leave next week for this tour. So
wow, you're a machine.
I am. I've got it down pretty good. The walking bio, the rest of my band calls me. So
wow. Well, I gotta go pick up my kids from school in like 15 minutes, so I'm gonna have to leave a little early. But Dustin will be here with you the whole time. But I just wanted to tell you, like, SOiL. My memory of SOiL is your guys' first, I think, mainstream album came out on September 11th, and I just remember that time, like being in high school at that time and rocking that album a lot during that time. So that was my earliest memories of SOiL.
Oh, thanks. In fact, we're playing that record, Scars, exclusively for the rest of the entire year on every tour and every show we do.
Oh, so wow.
It's only songs from that album.
Wow.
You know, depending on how many songs we play off that record is dependent on our time slot and how long we have to play. Sure. We've got them all rehearsed, ready to roll.
And are you guys just going to do them randomly, or are you going to go like track 1 through however much time you got? Or
it's track 1 through however much time we have, and then we're going to end with Halo. Don't want to because Halo's track 2 on that record. Don't want to, I guess, burst the bubble before we have to.
Yeah, I think Metallica did something years ago too with like the Black Album, didn't they? But then they played it like backwards so that their hits were at the end of the set.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I respect that too, because as a musician, it's like that's one of your biggest songs. So it's like, of course, people are going to want to hear that.
Yeah, that's the one everybody kind of goes a little bonkers over. And our singer Ryan goes out in the crowd during that song. So it'd be a shame if he went out during the second song, got his shirt ripped off, and then had to play the rest with.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
Well, we're all in our late 40s. We keep our shirts on these days.
I got you.
Yeah, I saw him with Drowning Pool here last fall, and he did the same thing with Bodies. He went out in the crowd, and like that was a hit. Everyone loved that. Just getting around him and singing along.
I'm a germaphobe. You wouldn't catch me doing that.
Really?
The hell with that. He can have all that fun he wants. I don't want people sweating and breathing on me.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's got to be tough on tour, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're trapped in a tube, going down the road with X amount of people in there. It's just like, this was a short run though. It's 3 weeks. We could do that, standing on our heads. But, back in the day, like you were saying, when you first saw us, we actually on that Scars record toured 13 months straight, and we counted the days off in between, and it added up to 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Like taking off just for like 2 days for Christmas, like a day at
Wow.
home in between tours. I mean, we were just gone nonstop on that. And we even that whole year we even played New Year's Eve, so we were even gone for all of that. So
Wow. Did you guys have a bus at the time, or was that like van days?
we luckily were on a major label, and
Oh,
we were
okay.
on some bigger tours, so we had a
Okay.
bus. Otherwise, I think we would have all killed each other. Somebody would have gone home in a
Yeah,
bus.
because I mean, I know even bands, like, they get signed or whatever, but they still don't have the budget or whatever for a nice big bus or something, and that would be rough.
That's the good old Clive Davis, J Records, BMG major label days. So yeah, we had good accommodations then.
Oh, nice.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because I was reading that you guys, you're one of the original members, obviously, of the band, and you guys were originally in a death metal band.
Yeah, we were in a death metal band called Oppressor. It was me, Adam, and our old drummer, and we kind of got, basically, we were just kind of getting a little burnt out on the whole extreme metal scene, because although we love death metal, still love death metal to this day. I actually have another death metal band called Embryonic Autopsy. And,
oh wow!
I was gonna tell Dustin when I leave, like, make sure that you guys talk about that, because
oh yeah,
he really loves death metal, and Dustin, you would really like that stuff.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I still do love death metal even in this day. That's why I started another death metal band just for fun, but it's kind of taken on a life of its own. But yeah, we were kind of getting burned on the scene, and that was when the whole black metal scene started coming, and all the bands out of Norway started getting really big, and we were, being death metal guys, we were like anti-dressing up in costumes, anti, all that stuff. I mean, none of us like the Satan stuff or any of that crap. So it's like, I am not putting on corpse paint and walking up there like a half-assed Kiss and singing about, the devil. So we
You weren't burning churches in Chicago?
No. So we kind of, we were like, hey, why don't we form a side project that kind of will give us a little bit of a break from this, how fast can you play drums and all this other crap, and get back to, like, our roots. And, our roots were like, Metallica, Master of Puppets, and we were really into like Corrosion of Conformity, Wise Blood then.
Oh yeah.
I loved like Caius at the time, so I was like putting stoner rock riffs and everything, and it's like we did that, and I found Ryan on an unsigned band compilation, and there was no email address, no phone number on there, nothing. I had to write him a handwritten letter to ask if he'd be interested in maybe putting some vocals on this side project, and put my number in there, and he called me up and we talked, and that's how he got into the band.
That's amazing.
And what's crazy is SOiL just kind of took over this life of its own, and just once it took off, it just never stopped. And we did our first record, Throttle Junkies, where, I mean, it's kind of like, I like to kind of equate it to like our Motley Crue Too Fast for Love, where it's got punk and rock and metal and stuff and all that, but not in a great way, the way Too Fast for Love was. I mean, we were just like all over the spectrum, not knowing which direction we were going in. It sounded like a stoner rock Corrosion of Conformity meets Metallica album. So it's like, it was a little unfocused. It's crazy because a lot of people,
that sounds great to me.
Yeah, I mean, if you dig that stuff, you'd probably love it. I mean, we thought we were onto something then, and fans now like go back to that and love the record. But it wasn't until that Scars record that we got really, really focused in on down-tuned guitars being a little heavier, kind of got more of an image going. But yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
stuff.
you guys are one of the bigger bands of that. I hate to call it like post-grunge era, but that's kind of what it was, like after grunge kind of took over.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we wear that proudly. I mean, we even wear the nu metal flag proudly. I mean, we got super lumped in with the nu metal genre, although I don't really consider much of what we do very nu metal sounding, but we got lumped in with that, and that was an awesome time. So I don't care what you call us at the time. It was a great time, and we played what we enjoyed, and the people liked it. So it was all good to me. Post grunge, nu metal, crap, I don't know. As long as somebody liked it, that's good enough for us,
Yeah, there's a lot of haters.
I wanted to ask you before I go switch of topic here, but your album you put out, was it 2 years ago? The Play It Forward album.
Correct.
Great songs on there. I love Thunder Kiss 65, What It's Like. but I wanted to ask you about Black Betty, which I think is a classic, amazing, one of the best rock songs ever. But it has gotten some controversy over the years. Did you guys wrestle with covering that one just because you might get some backlash or not?
Well, for us with Black Betty, we originally recorded Black Betty in 2000.
Okay.
And when we started really getting popular in the UK, they needed some bonus content for, I believe it was the Unreal single that they were putting out there. And we didn't, we used every song that we had recorded on the Scars record. So we're like, well, we've got a cover of Black Betty and then this one song that didn't make the record. So they put those as the bonus tracks on the single.
Oh, really?
And Black Betty kind of took over a life of its own in the club scene there. Because in the UK back at the time, they didn't really have radio. It was all based on what they would play in the nightclubs.
Oh, wow.
And the clubs played like all like Slipknot, Machine Head, and SOiL and Limp Bizkit and stuff. It wasn't like a dance club here in the States. So that song, Halo, was already a hit over there.
Yeah.
And Black Betty kind of took on a life of its own. So we did that. We've been doing Black Betty for now 24 years. So when we had the chance to do Play It Forward, the production on Black Betty was a little subpar because it was more or less just a demo when we did it. So what we did is we put it in our new tune, the tuning that we use now, dropped A sharp, and we just put it on there. I mean, I'm not really aware of any controversy of it. So I guess we kind of went in it kind of.
Well, there's not controversy like surrounding with you guys, but I know like just the last couple of years with all the controversy and culture,
cancel culture.
Yeah.
I mean, I've pretty much heard about everything where you can't even, you can't do anything anymore. It's like, I'm surprised they haven't taken Abe Lincoln off the penny yet. But I actually didn't hear anything about Black Betty, so you could call that ignorant bliss that we were. That song,
well, let's be honest too. It's like they tried to cancel that song, "Baby It's Cold Outside," and it's usually just like a couple people on Twitter that are angry, and then it becomes like a news story, and it's like whatever. Like it's like 5 people complaining.
Yeah.
Well, there was a comedian that was mentioning that the same time that they were canceling that song, the #1 hit in the U.S. was WAP. So,
oh yeah, there you go. The one thing I just can't get over. I mean,
a song I love, by the way.
I know it's a good song. The one thing I just can't get over is, I mean, I was born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s and 90s, and got old in the 2000s. But it's just like, I mean, we come from, I come from different times and stuff like that. So it's just like the words that we grew up on, we can't even use anymore. And you hear so many people, and I understand, people being sensitive to certain things, and it's kind of like as we as a society mature and grow up and evolve, certain things are taboo. That's why, you don't do certain things nowadays that you might have done in the 50s and 60s. Men don't come home for the most part and make their wives, have dinner waiting for them on the table or beat them with a belt.
Right.
I mean, the same thing is,
all this.
No.
Joey's like, what?
I just kick back and watch your vacuum, man.
My wife beats me with a belt if I don't walk the dog. No, but the one thing that perplexes me, and I'm sure people will go back and check this out, is there was a movie with Jackie Gleason and Richard Pryor back out in the 80s called The Toy, where Jackie Gleason basically rents Richard Pryor to be his son's,
I
toy.
remember this.
And I mean, that's like the most blatant thing, closest thing to like modern day slavery you could ever imagine. And here I was scrolling through HBO Max to look for things to watch, and that movie popped up. I'm like, if you want to cancel culture or anything, take that one off. It's.
Do you remember that movie Soul Man in the 80s where he like takes tanning pills to become black to get like his college scholarship?
Oh man, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, there's like all kinds of stuff I see now. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, I mean,
Thomas Howell basically doing blackface.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that literally should just be taken off, and I literally like my jaw dropped because it was only like 2 weeks ago I saw it up on HBO, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me! How did this one go under the radar? Yet they're like talking about like minute little things that they're going crazy about, but I don't know. I try to stay out of it all, just do the thing and mind my P's and Q's.
like you were saying too, though, I think it's good to see that stuff because as a society and as a culture, like we've evolved, and it's kind of good to see that stuff as a reminder of how we used to be. Like, hey, remember, like this used to be okay. That's kind of like,
well, I use that when we get those moments. I talk to my kids about it. You know, it's like there's things that change, and it's really good. You know, we're more respectful and things like that. So
absolutely, and it comes with evolution. I mean, if you look back into biblical times, they had a like a thing to see to like a vote basically with the church to see if women and animals had souls, and women squeaked by like a like just barely the majority vote, and animals lost. And it's just like it.
That's because women can vacuum and have dinner ready for you when you get home. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like things like that are just so Neanderthal, so to speak. And we as a society, as we build up, we learn from our mistakes and hopefully transform for the better. But I mean, you can't ostracize people's heritage because their ancestors did something. I mean, we didn't do it, but
right.
Yeah.
We just have to try our best to do the best we can and be good to people and be good to each other. That's all we can do. But who knows, 10 years from now, who knows, how much, what'll be taboo next and stuff like that. But hopefully it'll be for the better,
Yeah.
We can't change the past, but we can learn from it.
Absolutely. And I think we really have. I mean, I think COVID was, as bad as it was and as horrible as it was, I think we really did learn some important lessons during that time of, how to treat people and how to treat each other, and show more respect for things. Yeah.
Well, I got to bounce, but I know you guys are going to talk about the tour, but make sure, Dustin, that you ask him about the death metal band Embryonic Autopsy, because you'll dig it.
Yeah. Thanks for popping in, Joey. I'm glad you were able to jump on.
Nice seeing you, Joey.
Yeah, you too, Tim. Hope to see you when you get to Minneapolis.
Don't beat your kids when you pick them up from school.
Oh, absolutely not. That's my wife's job.
That's gonna be tougher.
All right, see you guys.
Take it easy, buddy.
Joey.
Later.
Yeah, I read that you guys got your name from an Entombed track too.
Yeah, our other guitar player came. He was listening to Entombed Wolverine. That's a tongue twister. Wolverine Blues on the way to practice, and we didn't have a name. We were going to call the band Dishonor, and he's like, "Man, I was just listening to Wolverine Blues in the car, and they had this song called Rotten Soil. What if we drop the rotten and call it SOiL?" And we are all like, "Yeah, that's a great idea." So the name was born there.
That's so cool. So the death metal roots run deep.
Oh, very deep, very deep.
I'm curious. I was listening to you guys re-recorded a bunch of your stuff, and I thought, wow, were they like kind of inspired by Taylor Swift, or they just wanted to like? I know she did that, which I thought was a brilliant move. Like went back and re-recorded a bunch of stuff, so she kind of like retains ownership of the masters or whatever. But like the re-recording of Halo sounds incredible. So I guess talk a little bit about that. What was your rationale behind doing that?
Well, it wasn't like a conscious effort. We got an offer to do two specialty pieces back to back, the covers record and then re-records of our most popular and hit songs. And it was down during COVID. We weren't touring, weren't doing anything, and we thought it would be, first of all, real fun to do some covers, because out of the entire span of SOiL, we've only really played 2 or 3 covers ever in our entire span and history as a band. So we thought it'd be really fun to kind of take a SOiL take on some songs that we thought might be cool and like the SOiL tuning and stuff, and then other songs that we kind of grew up listening to and really liked and could give a little nod to. And then for the other piece, the Restoration album, a lot of those songs were recorded pre-Pro Tools. They were recorded on 2-inch tape, and different sonic values to them and things like that. And we thought it would be kind of cool to play them with all the new techniques and modern things and plugins and stuff that you can do to really make albums sound like huge, and different ways you can do things to them is to keep the songs as original as possible, but update them with like modern mixing, modern mastering, because you listen to some of those songs and they're real, like when they come on, they're real low. You almost have to turn the stereo up, because they were mastered back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. So we basically took this time to, re-explore the songs and, get them into more of a modern production. It's just kind of something fun. A couple of the songs on there, I'm like, wow, this is like way better than the original. Like a song Lesser Man, where we had when Ryan left the band, we got a vocalist called AJ in and did 2 records with him. And we did this song called The Lesser Man, which was actually a radio hit. But naturally, Ryan didn't sing on that. So we re-recorded that with Ryan's vocals. And wow, it just breathed all this new life into the song, and was just so cool to hear Ryan singing on a song that, wasn't actually something that he was a part of. And then, re-recording some of those songs that we thought maybe didn't get a due shake because of, schedules and things like that. We didn't have enough time to, really focus in on mixing and stuff. We got to go and re-attack and do some things that afterwards we were like, oh, we should have added that to it or done that to it. We were able to do that. And there's a couple songs on there where I'm like, the original's better. Like, me personally, I think the original Breaking Me Down is better than the re-recorded one, but, can't win them all. But like you said, that the new take on Halo was really kind of refreshing and cool. And Ryan added a little bit something extra in the breakdown, which, we've been doing live for 15 years, but isn't in the original version of the song. So,
okay. Yeah. As someone who plays guitar, I listened to the re-recording of Halo in my car. I was like, wow, this sounds way bigger.
Oh, I appreciate that. I mean, the mastering too probably helped because it's a lot louder than the original one.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are you guys up to this year? Are you guys touring right now? What are your plans for the remainder of 2024?
So we have the Back to the 2000s tour with Union Underground, SOiL, Raw, and Flaw. That's starting March 1st, real quick here. In fact, we're getting all the production ready for it on now. We've got a couple fly dates. We're doing a festival, Earth Day Birthday in Orlando, Florida for the radio station WJRR, which is the actual first radio station in the country to play Halo, and actually got a major label bidding war for us for the song. So we thought now that we're doing the All Scars tour, it was kind of like a really cool thing for us to go back where it all began and play just all those songs that basically catapulted from that one station, playing Halo all the way back then. Then in August, we've got a bunch of festivals over in Europe, and we're going to put some headline dates in between there. We're just a couple of weeks away from announcing a November UK tour. And then we're going to definitely entertain doing part 2, maybe even part 3 of the Back to the 2000s tour, and hit the South, definitely hit the West Coast and places that we weren't able to make happen on this first leg.
Oh, awesome. If you guys get out here to LA, I'd love to see you play.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a long time since we've been out there. In fact, the last time we were out there was February of 2020, right before the pandemic. We played the Whiskey. So it's been a few years since we've been there. I love the West Coast. I mean, I'd be living in California right now if it wasn't for, like, most of my family being here and getting older and stuff. But eventually I'm definitely California bound. I love it out there.
Yeah. Where are you from originally?
Chicago area. I live in the burbs. I don't live in the actual city, but it's like a 20-minute drive into the actual city.
Yeah, I just read that book, Devil in the White City.
Oh, okay. Heard of that book? Yeah, I have. How is that?
Yeah, it's really good. The thing that's, I mean, it's about a serial killer for the most part, but it's all about during the World's Fair. And I didn't realize like what a rich history the city of Chicago has. I've never been there myself, but it really made me want to check it out. Like they talk about like the guys, some of the architects in Chicago were the guys that invented skyscrapers, basically. Like there's all this like history around the first Ferris wheel and all this stuff around the World's Fair. It's really interesting.
Great. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, you need to take a trip to Chicago. I mean, having lived here all my life, it's like, been there, done that.
Don't appreciate it as much, probably.
For someone that's, never been there before, there's so much cool stuff to see here. And, definitely starve yourself before you go because there's just tremendous food. You'll definitely gain about 10 pounds coming here.
I've heard the food is amazing.
Yeah, there's everything you could possibly want and then some.
We got you for a couple more minutes right before you got to jump.
Yeah, we're good for a few more minutes.
So one more question, you kind of alluded to this a little bit I had for you, is talk about the whole Clive Davis thing, because I read that you guys kind of were like almost like one of his darlings back in the day. Like, how did that all come about?
Yeah, he gotten forcibly retired from Arista Records and formed a new label called J Records, and brought along Alicia Keys, Busta Rhymes, Pearl Jam, stuff like that. But he didn't have any like real rock bands, and we actually had a development deal with Atlantic Records, and they had the first right of refusal on anything we were going to do. And when Halo started to take off, a bidding war broke out, and we had Elektra, we had Atlantic, we had Warner Brothers, we had J Records, RCA, and there had to be one more sprinkled in there. I think I said Elektra. Anyway, it was getting kind of out of control, the bidding war, and great for us. But Atlantic Records is kind of like, listen, we're not going that crazy on this band. So they gave us the free reins to go with whoever we wanted. And we sat down with, pretty much every label. And there's just something about Clive Davis when the man sits down with you and says, hey, you're going to be my first rock band. I haven't walked a rock record into MTV and, since Santana, did Super Unknown with Rob Thomas, and we're just going to go all out for you. And one of the most important things for me was they also said they wanted to go international with the band, and that was a very important thing for me. Having known the international portion of it with Oppressor, our former band, I just knew the importance of like Europe and the UK and places like that. So they were like one of the only labels that really wanted to push us worldwide. So that was a clincher for me, and we went with them, and it was great. It was something. I mean, the man just commands respect when you sit in a room with him,
Yeah, that's got to be cool to sit with a legend like that.
Oh yeah, and he does this little thing where he goes like that with his fingers, and says it's all part of the process, not process, but process. So we were doing that for like 10 years. It's all part of the process, and go like that with your fingers. But learned a lot from him. I mean, it was just he's a legend.
Yeah. So last question, what does the future hold for you guys? Do you think that there'll be any new SOiL music anytime soon, or what do you guys have planned, like once you're done with this touring schedule?
Yeah, I mean, that's the $1 million question about new music. It's something that we started to work on, then we opened up our mouths and said that we were working on it, and everybody got excited. And then we put out those 2 specialty pieces, and people are like, okay, this is great, but let's get some new material. And kind of it's way more difficult as far as new material, because we all used to live in Chicago, so we practice 3-4 days a week in the jam spot and throw ideas off of each other and be super productive. It was like going to work every day. I mean, it wasn't work. I don't ever consider what we do work.
Right. But you had a routine.
Yeah, but we did that, and now with Ryan living in the UK and me and Adam are the only ones here, and our drummer lives in Kentucky, it's it's just real hard to get together. And for a band like us that was based on like jamming and vibing off of each other, sending stuff through the internet, it has its disadvantages.
Sure.
So we've got a lot of ideas. We got a couple partial songs complete, but we figured we've waited this long. We really, really need to come out with something that's as good, if not better, than Halo, or of the equivalent of that. And it's like, I keep seeing, having a record label of my own, I see so many, I'm in the thick of it constantly. And I just keep seeing bands of like our genre and stuff like that, just putting out, albums because they feel like they have to, or just putting out singles just to throw them through the pipeline. And they're okay, but they just don't have that, 2001, 2002 hit factor like some of those songs that we're going to be doing this tour all based around have. And it's disappointing because it satisfies a very small little base of fans, but you're not going looking at the big picture of it, and we never want to release something subpar. So long story short is we have stuff, eventually we'll get to it. We just want to make sure it's the right stuff to release and that it's of a super high quality, because we've got so many albums under our belt and so much catalog. It's like new stuff is just going to be usurped by the bigger stuff that we already have. So it's got to be something that people are like, man, that's like the new Halo, or that's like breaking me down part 2 and stuff like that. So
yeah,
we're 99% there, but not 100. So
I can appreciate that. There is a lot of it feels like because of the way things are with social media, everything's moving so fast. People are just in a hurry to put something out where it's like, I have a little bit more respect for people that kind of take their time and really, 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 focus on the detail and nuance of everything that they're doing. So
yeah, I
understood.
don't like disposable music, that's just thrown out there for content and then you're on to the next thing. I like a song that, can resonate and 10 years from now you're talking about it, or in our case, 24 years later we're talking about it. So
Yeah, I mean,
when we're there, we'll do it.
It says something about the quality of the music you guys wrote. You're still touring on songs you wrote 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's proof right there that you're doing it right.
I mean, we hope so. I mean, who knows what's right or what's wrong anymore, in this day and age with the way music is.
That's true.
We just try to do the best we can and do what we feel is the best for us, and most importantly for the fans, because the fans are the reason we're still here to this day, and those are the last group of people that we want to let down.
Yeah.
With that being said, to not let them down, our next move is definitely new music before we put out anything else. You're not going to see any more live records or anything like that. I think we'll get crucified if we do that. But next thing, recorded from SOiL has to be new music, but we just got to make sure it's right, and give the fans what they deserve, because they only deserve the best, because they've treated us the best over all these years.
That's awesome. Well, Tim, thank you so much, man, for taking the time today. I really hope that you'll come back through and talk to us again when you guys are ready to do something or ready to talk about something new. And I hope to catch you guys when you get out here to the West Coast to play too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time to do the interview. I really appreciate it. And
Absolutely.
hopefully we'll talk soon, and even better, see each other in person and have a couple beers.
That'd be awesome, man. Really appreciate it.
Take care, buddy.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Everybody get out and check out SOiL live. Been around for a long time. The re-recorded version of Halo sounds incredible. I was just listening to it in my car. But yeah, tons of respect to Tim for taking a minute to talk to us today. And if you haven't listened to SOiL stuff, get out there and listen to it. Thanks for tuning in. And tomorrow we will be live with a band called Defocus, a German metalcore band, a German metalcore band called Defocus. They got some pretty heavy stuff, so that'll be interesting. And got some other stuff in the pipeline, so stay tuned, and we'll see you around. And don't forget to jump in the comments if you got questions, whether it's on Facebook, Rumble, or YouTube. We try to read them and engage. So if you're jumping on here and this is a band that you dig and you have questions, put them in the chat. We'll ask them. We try to come up with some interesting questions ourselves, but sometimes people in the comments have better ideas as to what to ask the artist than we do. Maybe they're bigger fans. I don't know. Whatever the case, jump in those comments and leave some questions and interact with us. We appreciate y'all. Keep it brutal.